Perhaps it was because the sun had hit the rim of the horizon, but Susan Bird's house looked different. The cedar tree was silvery gray and its bark crinkled all the way up. It looked to Milkman like the leg of an ancient elephant, and now he noticed that the ropes he held swing were picket fence that had looked so bright and perky before was really flake peeling, even leaning to the left. The blue steps leading to the porch were faded into a watery gray. In fact, the whole house looked steedy. He lifted his hand to knock the door and knocked the doorbell. He rang when Susan Bird opened the door. "Hello again," he said. "Well," she said, "you're good as your word. I'd like to talk to you some more, if you don't mind, about sing. May I come in?" Of course. She stood back at the door, and the odor of the other branch and the gingerbread washed out. Again, they sat in the living room's heat in the gray wig, back chair on the sofa. At the time, Miss Long was nowhere in sight. "I know you don't know who Sing married or if he's married, but I was wondering. Of course I know she's married. That is, if they did marry. She married Jake, that black boy her mother took care of." Milkman felt dizzy. Everybody kept changing right in front of him. "But yesterday you said nobody heard from him after she left." "Nobody did, when you knew who she left, but they knew who she left with." "Jake?" "Jake Black. Black Jake. Black as coal." Where did they live? Boston?" "I don't know where they ended up. North, I guess. We're never heard." "I thought you said that you went to a private school in Boston." She dismissed the whole notion with a wave of her hand. "I just said that in front of her. Grace, she talks so much of you. You know, she carries tales all over the country. It's true, she was supposed to go to some school, but she didn't. She left on that double team wagon with that black boy Jake. A whole lot of slaves got together. Jake was driving. Can you imagine it? Riding off with a wagon load of slaves." "What was Jake's last name? Can you tell me?" She shrugged. "I don't think he had one. He was one of those flying African children. They must have been all dead a long time from now." Flying African children. One of the Salmon's children, or Salmar. Papa, Hetty always called him Salmar. And Hetty was my grandmother, Sing's mother, and Papa's too. An Indian woman. She was the one who took care of Jake when his father left them all. She found him and took him home and raised him. She didn't have any boy or children there. My father, Carl, came later." She leaned forward and whispered, "She didn't have a husband, Hetty. I didn't want to go into all of that with Grace. You can imagine what she'd do with the information."
"You're a stranger, so it doesn't matter, but Grace," Susan Bird looked putting on the ceiling. "This Jake was a baby she found, and he and Sing grew up together. I guess rather than be packed off to some Quaker school, she ran away with him. You know, colored people and Indians mixed a lot, but sometimes, well, some Indians didn't like it, the marrying, but neither of them knew their own father, Jake nor Sing, and my own father didn't know his. Hetty never said. I don't know to this day if he was a white, red, or, well, what. Sing's name was Singing Bird, and my father's name was Crow at first. Later he changed it to Crow Bird. After he took off his buckskin, she smiled. Why'd you call Solomon a flying African? Well, that's just some old folks' lie they tell around here. Some of these Africans they brought over here as slaves could fly. A lot of them flew back to Africa. The one around here who did this was Same Solomon, or Shalimar, and never knew which was right. He had a slew of children all over the place. You may have noticed that everybody around here claims kin to him. Must be over 40 families spread on these cells, calling themselves Solomon something or other. I guess he must have been hot stuff," she laughed. "But anyway, hot stuff or not, he disappeared and left everybody, wife, everybody, including some 21 children. And they all say, what the, wait, oh. And they say they all saw him go. The wife saw him and the children saw him. They were all working in the fields. They used to try to grow cotton there. Can you imagine in these hills? The cotton was king then. Everybody grew until the land went bad. It was cotton even when I was a girl. Well, back to this Jake boy, who was supposed to be one of the Solomons.
Dude, RJ forgot his movement band.
He was supposed to be one of the Solomons'
And so I had to drive to
original
Pierce's house,
21.
And he paid me $35 to drive to Pierce's house.
All boys and all of them with the same mother. Jake was the baby. The baby and the wife were right next to him when he flew off. When you say flew off, you mean he ran away, don't you? Escaped? No, I mean flew. Oh, it's just foolishness, you know, but according to the story, he wasn't running away. He was flying. He flew, you know, like a bird. Just stood up in the fields one day, ran up some hill, spun around a couple times, and was lifted up in the air. Went right back on wherever he came from. There's a big double-headed rock over the valley named for him. It's like to kill the woman, the wife. I guess you could say wife. Anyway, she's supposed to have screamed out loud for days, and there's a ravine near here they call Rhina's Gulch, and sometimes you can hear this funny sound by it that the wind makes. People say it's the wife, Solomon's wife, crying. Her name was Rhina. They say she screamed and screamed, lost her mind completely. You don't hear about women like that anymore, but there used to be more, the kind of woman who couldn't live without a particular man. And when the man left, they lost their minds or died or something. Love, I guess. But I always thought it was trying to take care of children by themselves. You know what I mean? He talked on and on while Milton sat back and listened to gossip, stories, legends, speculations. His mind was ahead of hers, behind her. Oh my God, sorry. Behind hers, with hers, and bit by bit with what she said, what he knew, and what he guessed. He put it all together. Singa said she was going to a Quaker school, but she joined Jake on his wagon full of ex-slaves heading for Boston or somewhere. They must have dropped their passengers along the way. And then Jake at the reins took a wrong turn because he couldn't read, and they ended up in Pennsylvania. But there's a children's game they play around here, and in the game they sing, Jake, the only son of Solomon. Only. He looked at her hoping she wouldn't mind the interruption. Well, they're wrong. He wasn't the only son. There were 20 others, but he was the only one Solomon tried to take with him. Maybe that's what it means. He listened to him up a drop near the porch of the big house. That's where Hetty found him. She used to come over there and help with the soap making and candle making. She wasn't a slave, but she worked over at the big house certain times of the year. She was melting tallow when she looked through and saw this man holding a baby and flying toward a ridge.
He brushed too close to a tree, and the baby slipped out of his arms and fell through the branches in the ground. He was unconscious, but the trees saved him from dying. Hetty ran over and picked him up. He didn't have any male children, like I said, a bitty girl. And this one just dropped out of the sky almost in her lap. She never named him or anything different. She was afraid to do that. She found out the baby was Rhina's, but Rhina was out of her mind. Hetty lived a good ways from the place Solomon and them others worked on. She tried to get the girl away from that place too. You can imagine how she felt when both of them ran off. Just my father was left. Did Jake have a register at the Freedmen's Bureau before he left the state? Everybody did. Everybody who had been slaves. That is, whether they left the state or not, but we were never slaves. So you told me that? Weren't any of Jake's brothers registering too? I couldn't say. Those must have been some times. Back then, some bad times. It's a wonder anybody knows who anybody is. You helped me a lot, Miss Bird. I'm grateful. He thought about asking her if he had a photo album. He wanted to see St. Crowley, even Hetty, but he decided against it. He might ask him questions, and he didn't want trouble her with a newfound relative who was as black as Jake. Now that's not the woman you're looking for, Pilot. No, he said he couldn't be. He made motions of departure, then remembered his watch. By the way, I did leave my watch here. I'd like it back. Watch? Yes, your friend wanted to see Miss Long. I handed it to her, but I forgot. Milkman stopped. Susan Bird was laughing out loud. Well, you can say goodbye to it, Miss Macon. Grace will go to dinner all over the country, tell people about the watch you gave her. What? Well, you know, she doesn't mean any real harm, but it's a quiet place. You have many visitors, especially young men who wear gold watches and the northern accents. I'll get back from you. Never mind, never mind. You'll just have to forgive her otherwise. This is a dull place, Mr. Macon. There's absolutely nothing in the world going on here, not a thing.